Hi home bakers, today I'm in the kitchen making a gooseberry coffee cake.
This recipe is one of my favorite old-fashioned treats to bake in the kitchen. It's soft, buttery, and packed with seasonal fresh gooseberries. And it's finished with a sweet cinnamon streusel topping to bring everything together. So if you're wondering what to do with your fresh gooseberries, this recipe is one of my favorites.
This timeless cake recipe tastes like it came straight from Grandma's kitchen. I love baking with blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries, but there's something deliciously nostalgic about baking with the less common seasonal fruit like currants and gooseberries.
So let's get into the kitchen. This is how I make a gooseberry coffee cake with a streusel topping.
I'm going to start this recipe by making the streusel topping for the coffee cake. In a bowl, mix together 1 cup of all-purpose flour, a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a pinch of salt. I'm going to give this a quick mix with my fingertips, and then I'm going to add in 1/3 cup of softened butter. Crumble and work this into the dry ingredients with your fingertips. I'm just going to keep rubbing the butter into the dry ingredients until everything is moistened and the crumble will hold together. I still want it to be loose and crumbly on top of my cake, but if you squeeze a clump of it together in your hands, it should hold together. Now that the topping is ready, I'm going to set it aside and get on with making the batter. In a bowl, I'm going to cream together 1/3 cup of softened butter with 3/4 cup of white sugar and 3/4 cup of brown sugar. Once it starts to turn smooth and light, I'm going to add in 2 eggs, 1 at a time, and after mixing, make sure to scrape down the bottom and sides of the bowl to make sure everything's getting mixed in evenly. Once it's very smooth and creamy, it's time to add in the dry ingredients. Mix in 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And as the batter's mixing together, I'm going to add in 1 cup of buttermilk. Finally, I'm going to fold in 1.5 cups of gooseberries.
If you've never baked with fresh gooseberries before, you're going to want to remove any of the stem that's left and the little dried up flour piece at the bottom.
I already have a square baking dish greased and lined with parchment paper. I'm going to spread half the batter into the bottom of the pan and spread it out evenly to the sides and edges. Sprinkle on top half of the streusel topping that we made at the beginning. Then I'm going to gently spoon on top the rest of the batter. Gently smooth it out, being careful not to mix in any of the streusel layer. I'm going to finish the cake by sprinkling on top the rest of the crumbly cinnamon streusel. And my coffee cake is ready to go into my preheated 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius oven. And it's going to bake for 50 to 60 minutes, or until it's nicely golden on top and a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. Let it sit for about 10 to 20 minutes inside the pan before slicing and serving. This will give a chance for the crumb of the cake to cool and set. This gooseberry coffee cake is one of my favorite seasonal desserts. It's perfect as a sweet treat for breakfast or as a snack with coffee and tea. I love this cake served just as it is. But if you want to turn it into a more decadent dessert, you could serve it with fresh whipped cream, some ice cream to melt on top, with clotted cream and some homemade berry jam, or with some fresh strawberries, raspberries, or blueberries on the side. If you're a fan of vintage baking, you've got to give this one a try.
And as always, you can find a link to the full written recipe in the description box below the video.
Enjoy! If you're a fan of deliciously simple vintage recipes and old-fashioned skills, then you'll want to check out this next video. Thanks so much for stopping by.